to the third live broadcasted session of the Food and Climate Shaper Digital Bootcamp, actually the third session of the third edition. I am very excited to introduce you one of our partners who joined our mission for the previous edition and ever since, bringing in all the mentors and speakers and engaging with our participants. And without me taking too much time, I would like to hand over to Thomas Zoellner, who is the co-founder and Secretary General of FarmTech Society.
Well, thank you so much, Julia, and I'm quite humbled to be part again of this really exciting venue you organized. I'm so impressed with your boot camp from last November, and I'm very curious of what this one will lead up to. I am the co-founder, Secretary General of FarmTech Society, and I'll share my screen briefly just to give you a quick review on what we are. A relatively young organization focused exclusively on controlled environment agriculture. Now, that is obviously something which needs to be still firmed up from a typology point of view, but it means these are forms of production which have all the factors controlled, meaning they're mostly indoors and they're mostly controlled by digital tools or by physical means, meaning like technology. And with this technology or with this approach, you achieve quite a different result than if you do the same production in the field, for instance, for a farmer. And this is an emerging industry. It has been established, quite some time in the greenhouse segment, but primarily also in a few countries and not too widely adopted yet. What you see in the background is a picture of a typical greenhouse operation in the Netherlands, which looks like it's a massive factory, but it is a family farm, and it is operated 24 hours, 7 days, all year round. And it can produce an enormous amount of fresh produce or fresh flowers for that matter. And it is highly efficient. It is also very energy efficient because it utilizes the sunlight. And we do have also, of course, new developments on the side of creating artificial lighting, which is a complete new way of optimizing plant growth. And this is quite interesting in the context of what we are trying to introduce you today is one of the market leaders in seed breeding and variety development for vegetables, which is a company called Rijk Zwaan, which is also located in the Netherlands. And I have the honor to introduce a three-part section of an introduction of basically a journey of a variety of a melon. Just briefly, mentioning also what we are doing as FarmTech Society, we are trying to represent our industry members. These are different stakeholders, and we try to focus on the common challenges. And with that is, in general, a lack of regulations or standards is holding the industry back at the moment, particularly when it comes down to scaling and then going into international markets. So it's very important that we find a common agreement on these standards, and also then deal within the policy level with regulators to accept and acknowledge this. What's also a really apparent big challenge for the agriculture industry at large, but for this new segment even more so, is the lack of talent. And this could be quite interesting for all of you in this bootcamp, because we are short of talent like there's no tomorrow. I mean, literally, most companies who try to hire people will just hire basically anybody, even without the skills, because there are no skills trained in a larger meaning of things. You can go to specific university courses, etc., but this is completely underserving the demand of the industry, and it has become a real bottleneck for the scaling of all these different interesting technologies around the world, to particularly help farmers who are who need to tackle climate change or need to tackle labor issues, etc. So, the equation of really developing an educational workforce development is super important for the whole sector and for the entire rollout of a sustainable future food system. These are our members. It's a big variety of different companies, individuals, academics, experts. We have, multinational corporations. We have also a lot of startups and everything in between. And it covers literally the whole stack, from the investor side to the certifier, into the seed breeding, as well as the supply chain, and even the public finance people are also represented here. We focus heavily, naturally, also on vertical farming, because that is the most recent new development, which is a global phenomenon and has really gained a lot of attention from the media, but is poorly understood. Also, urban agriculture is a big segment of us. We have also grower associations, etc. So I invite you to visit our website, follow us, and come along. We organize also events. We hope to participate in further events with Future Food Institute, and want to greatly support this digital bootcamp, and hopefully also the physical bootcamps in the future. So I want to introduce the three speakers now, which are essentially going to talk to you in three segments. And we start with Vincent van Wolveren. He will talk about the vegetable breeding as a consumer challenge, and it talks a little bit about the variety testing in Spain, commercial testing in Central America, and then the production, launch, and shipping and logistics in Europe. The second part will be focusing on chain management by Jörg Werner, introduction of his retail center, a very unique institution for the entire industry, as a matter of fact, and has been really well received, from all stakeholders. He will talk a little bit about product innovation, focus on brands and conception and consumer research. His main insights are also coming from retail category management. And then the third section will be Jan Dolderson from the retail team as well, focus on the German retail section landscape, and also talk about the COVID-19 trends and impact in Europe for the produce sector, and what the disruption it really meant or is meaning for the retail industry, for the retail segment. We will do a 15-minute Q&A after each presentation, so we can actually freshly take questions and hopefully answer all your questions in that order. I think I haven't forgotten anything, Julia, or is that we can get
I think that was it. So for the audience, you will be able to ask your questions after each segment, as Thomas said. We will be keeping an eye on the time just to make sure that we fit into our scheduled 90 minutes. But please don't be shy and, raise your hand. And also for our audience on the live stream, please post your questions in the chat and we will try to accommodate it in these question rounds. So I would now hand over to Vincent, and I think it will be a screen sharing moment as well.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you, Tom and Julia, for the introduction. Indeed, we will start with the video now. The presentation of Vincent will I'll try to find it and share with you.
Hello, welcome from the Netherlands, from De Lier. My name is Vincent, I'm working for Rijkswaan, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the journey of a melon variety. This is me. This is me on our field in Guatemala. My role in Rijkswaan is crop coordinator. That is a synonym for product manager. So I look at the product development from breeding up to commercial. This is the program for my introduction. So a little bit about Rijkswaan as a company and a little case on the demand-driven variety development in melons. Now first, Rijkswaan. Rijkswaan is vegetables. We like to see that as a synonym. Vegetables are very healthy and very important for the daily diet. If you give you an example, in Europe today, the average person eats 160 grams of vegetables, which sound a lot, but it's still not enough. 160 grams per person, that comes to 1.5 million containers of fruit and vegetables on a yearly basis. So quite a lot of containers we are trying to fill with healthy vitamins. Rijkswaan is a breeding company, for the people that don't know, but we are in the start of the chain. So we are developing new varieties, new genetics, or we are packing genetic components into a little seed that is going to help the entire supply chain to come with healthy vegetables and fruits. So we see ourselves in the beginning, you see growers, traders, processors, retailers, and consumers in the end. It's all about objectives. We say we can make everything. All kinds of solutions can be made in breeding, but you have to choose. It's about the objective that you have. So here you see some of the aspects we are working on. Taste and texture, for example, very important component. The way to let people eat more fruit and vegetables is by giving it a good taste. Efficiency and shelf life, quality, consistency. It's important that the fruit that you eat today has a similar taste that you want next week, so you can buy the same fruit and you know what you're going to get. Production, very important for our growers that are the customers from Rijkswaan, the ones that are producing the fruit and vegetables. They need a yield, they need quality to be able to send the fruits and vegetables to the market. Now, more and more convenience. People eat in different moments, get different habits in eating, so like to have their plate ready as soon as possible. So convenience in fruit and vegetables, very important. And one of the last things to mention is health and nutrition. It's critical that it's a health component. Now, how do we do this? We do this with the knowledge from nature. So many different traits can be found in nature. So plant habits, fruit habits, quality habits, all kinds of resistances to diseases we can find in nature. And we're trying to collect them. Together with that technology that we have in-house, which is really state-of-the-art and high-tech, we are trying to build that knowledge into commercial varieties. Now, this is a natural way of crossing. The technique is helping us to do that in a quicker way, but it's all in a natural way. So it's no mixing, it's combining traits. And we select the material under the real life conditions. So that means we do a lot of tests around the world to test the varieties. Seeds is the business we are in. So Rijkswaan is selling seeds. We do that in roughly 100 countries around the world. That goes in many different crops. So they come from cucumbers to lettuce to tomatoes to cabbages. More or less 30 different species that we sell. But we don't sell just the seeds. We also provide services to our customers, to the growers. Services based on knowledge, because in the process of developing new seeds and new genetics, we learn a lot. We learn a lot about consumption. We learn a lot about the whole supply chain, and that we like to share with our customers, the growers. You will see another in the melon case. You see that later on. And what is super important for our organization as well is we help to stimulate consumption. We have a concept called Love My Salad, which is rolled out really internationally, where we're trying to stimulate consumption of fruit and vegetables at consumer level. Now, you've seen the name Rijkswaan, and you heard me talking about Rijkswaan for a few times already. What is Rijkswaan? Now, Rijkswaan is the name of the founder of our company, who founded the company in 1924. We are an independent, family-owned company, strong company culture, which is really important for us. That has to do with the importance of people. The decision to make a new variety, to make a new concept, is made by a person that is creative, a person that sees opportunities in the development in the world. And so people are really critical of importance for our organization. So you see very long-standing relationships with our partners, but also very long-standing relationships with our employees and colleagues in the company. Today, we employ more or less 3,500 people worldwide, colleagues worldwide. Now, as mentioned before, the second part of the presentation is about the demand-driven variety development. And then I give you a melon example because melon is my product, which I'm working on every day. So I want to describe the journey of a new melon variety on a couple of slides. The slides will show you the different links in the European melon supply chain. So this was last Sunday dessert time. So you see a family enjoying dessert on lunch on the Sunday and taking melon as a dessert. Now we tend to take consumers and consumer information as a start of our breeding activities. We need to know what drives consumers to eat fruit and vegetables. So we want to learn how we can bring those aspects into our breeding operation. It's not so easy because you would think melon is melon, but now if you look at the European market, you have the Spanish people, for example, that really prefer Piel de Sapo melons, that are the big dark green colored white flesh melons. In Germany, they like them in yellow, so it's a yellow melon with white flesh. And for example, in Holland, in the Netherlands here, we mainly eat Gallia melons, which is a straw-colored melon with a netting on the outside with green flesh. But for now, I'm focusing on the orange flesh melon, not to make it too complicated. So last Friday, this same lady that presented the melon as a dessert on her Sunday lunch was shopping in the supermarket. She made the following choices. She went shopping with a list and said, hey, I want to have a sweet and healthy dessert, but what shall I buy? I have many options. I can buy ice cream, I can buy apples, I can buy plums, but she decided to buy melon. So that's already a good step, but why did she do? Very important information for us, how we can persuade people to buy melons. Then the next step is, what type of melon would she buy? Do people know them? Does she know the different types of melon? On the shelf here you see Gallia melons, cantaloupe melons, and watermelons. What type does she know? What type does she pick? From this perspective, it's interesting to know that we here in Northern Europe have really limited knowledge about how to choose a melon. In fact, in most fruit or vegetables. So we tend to buy with our eyes and we tend to buy what looks good on the shelf. So that makes presentation as a topic really important to sell more melons. She chose an orange flesh melon because she had the feeling, hey, I want to have a nice plate. It needs to have a festive look. It needs to be funny. It's Sunday. We do something special today. So that's how she chose melons. But she's looking for sweetness, juiciness, have a bite, but should not be crunchy. Some aromas, all kinds of aspects that we are working on in melon breeding. Now we go a little bit further back. This is Geraldo. Geraldo is a grower based in Honduras. Geraldo is today harvesting melons, planting melon plants. So he's in the business of producing melon fruits. And he is here on the field more or less 20 days ago. 20 days ago, the melon that we saw the lady eating for the dessert on Sunday has been picked. So he had the moment that he picked the fruit. That fruit needs to be ripe, needs to be nice in color, needs to be sweet, needs to be firm. So very important that he can select the right variety that will be eaten later on. So we are trying to work on indicators that show when the fruit is ready. Also for Geraldo as a grower, it's very important to look at resistances to diseases. Every time he does not need to spray, it's a win for him. A, because it's money, chemicals are very expensive, and B, because if you apply chemicals, plants will grow in a different way. So growers don't like to use chemicals in their process. So that's why natural resistances bred in by a company like ourselves is very important. Other aspect which is really important is the efficiency. You can produce a melon plant that you need to harvest 20 times before you all have picked all the fruits. That's very costly. So we are trying to make varieties that you can harvest in two or three settings. From here, after picking, the melons will be washed and will be packed in a special bag that keeps the fruits in good condition. So that can take care of the transport time to Europe in this case. Now we go back a little bit more. This is the field 80 days ago. 80 days ago, the team of Harald was planting was planting the young plants to make sure that he could harvest 20 days ago. So seeds are his input. Seeds need to be good, seeds need to be powerful to deliver strong plants, and seeds need to be free of diseases, for example. For that reason, Rijkswaan is shipping all seeds, wherever we produce them in the world, back to Holland to have one single place for quality control. We do that with very modern technologies and techniques, and sometimes very simple, just grow them and see how they perform. But all done in one single location. We go back a little bit more. We are here now more or less a year and a half ago when Haraldo, the grower, together with my colleague Darwin, selected the variety that gave the fruits that were eaten on the picture on the slides before. So 1.5 years ago, they confirmed that this variety was good for the consumer to produce. So based on several tests, based on several tastings, on shipping performance, see how things went, we selected a variety that was going to be produced on a larger scale. That requires a lot of selection and rejection. As a breeder, my colleague Darwin sees thousands of varieties on a yearly basis, and the aim is to throw as much as you can away. Normally, he should throw away like 99.9%. We score on many different aspects on the field. For example, think about flavor, production, disease tolerance, sizing, presentation, many different things where we can look at on the field. Now, we go a little bit bigger steps, otherwise it would be a very long story, but this is 2013, more or less, where Darwin is showing a couple of new prototypes to Haraldo as the grower. So he's showing a field with many different varieties, with variety that he thinks can be suitable to be exported to Europe, can be and are interesting for European consumers to eat. So they made a selection together. This is really trial and error. So you plant 100, you throw away 90, you plant again a new 100, throw away 90 again, and in the end, after years and years, you come to a good selection where we were just before on the slide before. So back to the starting point. So here you see Darwin in 2009. He is the one, and that's also why I mentioned on the slide before that Rijkswaan, the asset of Rijkswaan is people. Darwin was the one that thought, I want to make a melon variety that's suitable for the European consumers. He has in mind what he needs to do, the idea that consumers want to have, how they like to eat it, the color they like, the shape they like, the size they like, and he's trying to bring that together. So 12 years of hard work with many tests on the field, but also with consumers, also in shipping. He found a variety that can be grown in Central America, can be transported to Europe, and will satisfy consumers. So in short, back to one slide, the journey of a new melon variety started in 2009 with an idea, and that led to 2021 to the first desserts that are made on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, so 12 years to develop a new variety for a certain market, for a certain production window. The last bit, what I tell you is important to know as well, because the melons are not coming every day from Honduras. Honduras is in a part of the year, in the months January, February, March, for example. But we need also Spain, Morocco, and Italy, and Brazil to fulfill the year production. That means for a company as ourselves that we need to make varieties that look the same, that taste the same for a consumer perspective, but are genetically possibly completely different, because in Brazil you have different diseases than in Honduras and in Spain. So it's not as easy as the case I mentioned. And then think about, this is just one product, one type, and Rijkswaan is doing 30 different species with many different types. So it's quite a lot of work. To summarize, so this is the chain we are working for. We are working for the consumer in the trades. We are working for the plant raisers with their trades, homogeneity, quality of the seeds. Producers, shippers, very important in this example, melons that ship 2 weeks, that needs to be fit, that needs to perform in that condition, and still look good on arrival here if you want to sell them as a retailer, or if you want to sell them as a fresh cut company, as a fruit salad. In short, it's very difficult to make a new variety for the chain. And the most important thing is we need to do this some years ahead. So in this example, 12 years ago, my colleague Darwin was thinking, hey, there might be European consumers interested in this orange flesh type of melon. But do you know how your melon should be in 2033? Thanks for your attention. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. This is quite incredible. I'm extremely impressed. Have you heard of this melon which is bred in Japan for wedding couples?
Yes. We could do with a couple of those. They are very interesting. I
know.
They are.
Is this a Reich Swan variety too?
No, unfortunately not. No. No. But we are working for the Asian market as well. But it's something that started later. It's a younger program for us, but for something for the future for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the interesting part is that this melon will sell in generally, I think, on the average of €600 a piece.
Yeah.
And it is the best wedding gift you can give to a couple in Japan. Yeah. And you could just imagine that special dessert you will have for this. So that shows you also the different values these products have in different markets, which is also a tremendous challenging work you have to figure out what product will do in what market and how the economics work.
And I'll keep on telling the same story to my wife, Tom. So every time I take home a melon, I said, "Look what is value in Japan."
Beautiful. Do we have any questions from the participants? Nothing?
Yes, I think Joy has a question. Thank you.
Okay, Joy, please.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mr. Vincent, how can we extend the vegetable shelf life? Like, that sounds so complex to me, and how does that work?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's also not so easy in melons. But yeah, it's a little bit what I said. It's trial and error. So what we investigate is what are the components that are responsible for shortening the shelf life, mainly initially. So we found out, for example, that the more aromatic a melon is, and that goes together with the production of ethylene as a chemical material, that's the ripening process. So we're trying to stop that process, or trying to break the process, or trying to slow down the process. And that is something that we have been working on now for years and years, to discover what genes are responsible for that action. So based on that, we could slow that down, or we could make varieties less sensitive for the uptake for ethylene. But you see, it's not perfect yet. That's why I told you in the story that growers are packing them in plastic bags, and those plastic bags are done for modified atmosphere. So what will happen is that condition in that bag will make that melon go to sleep and stay on that level. So it wakes up again when you open the bag, when new oxygens enter you give space to oxygen, and then it will continue the process. So we are not there yet. It's not perfect yet what we have, but with the help of the technology that is around us, we can do a good job, I think, in melons to transport.
Super interesting. Thank you.
Okay, we have a written question. Obviously, this melon story is meant for a market which is demanding year-round availability. And now this question here is going into another direction. How important is demand-driven variety and ingredient standardization when it comes to preserving traditional and indigenous breeds and varieties around the world?
Oh, that's a
packed one.
Question. Now, if I translate a bit, what I understood from the question is that how important is the availability throughout the complete year for every species that's available around the world, not just melons, but in general, huh?
Well, it's actually also how you deal with how much effort you put into preserving traditional indigenous breeds and variety. Because there could be a claim that by breeding a variety which is suitable for, let's say, European and US market, you may lose the interest for varieties which are indigenous or are less suitable for long transports, etc.
Yeah, that's true. Now, yeah, in our company, this was just an example for the long shipping supply, from in this case from Honduras to Europe. But we work for melon varieties for production in US, consumption in US as well. And what you see is that those, because you are closer to the end consumer, the need for longer shelf life trade is less important, and also we use that trade less. So because you only need 10 days of shelf life, for example, to go from the California field or Yuma field to a consumer in LA, 10 days is more than enough. So for different markets, we use also different genetics. A, because the market needs it, different conditions, but B, also you don't need that shelf life. So that's correct. So that's a different process, different genetics.
But as a seed company, are you also taking up steps to help preserve indigenous varieties and breeds?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, because that's a reservoir, right? I mean, you're really interested in keeping, the biodiversity in general is a very important factor, but then also all the possible varieties of any sort, of any melon, species that is important to Rijk Zwaan. Do you have any program that you help breeders also in that market, maybe very small local markets in, let's say, South America or Africa, for instance?
Yeah, we do on not very broadly, but on different occasions we work on specific varieties for specific regions. But you can take, for example, France as an example as well. We if you take as northern, you say Dutch, the Germans, English. We have not really the knowledge and the history in a crop like melon. So we are eating melons that have a bit more shelf life, that are a bit firmer, have little less aromas. But the French won't eat them. French people have a really traditional bite of melons. So they also eat melons from May till October. They don't buy melons roughly. You can say black, it's not black and white, but in November, you can hardly sell any melon in France because people know this is not from here. This is not tradition. And in November is plums, for example, or strawberries, or they have their market. And so for those markets, we really make varieties that are suitable for their specific season.
Okay, great. Thank you. How are we time-wise, Julia?
I think we can maybe accommodate the question of Renzo, and then we go to the next.
Excellent. Okay, Renzo, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. So I have a couple of questions, but I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to pick just one, the second maybe later. So one is about the hybridization of the seeds. And I wonder if, so how does the taste impact the end consumers in the market? As I think a while ago, I watched a documentary about tomatoes, for example, and they were talking about how vegetables have lost in the last 50 years, if I remember well, like almost 27% of their vitamin C. And so therefore, what's the impact eventually in be transparent towards the consumer about what is the real benefit in terms of the ingredients and how this is related to the increase of the for the, let's say, for the profit, let's say, for the company, but the benefit for the user. So that's one question.
Yeah,
thanks.
Very good. Yeah, there is for sure an impact there, but that's also, if you go back to the beginning of the second part of the presentation, our starting point is the consumer. So daily, weekly, we run consumer panels to understand what consumers like, and we for example, sometimes we're trying tomato varieties that were common to be eaten and sold 25 years ago. And if you try that in a population like the group we have today, I think a big part of the group will say, oh, that's horrible, because we have changed. Our taste buds are changing. We are going for different types of product. We get a lot more sweet from candy, a lot more different things in our diet every day. So also our taste buds are changing for melons as well. So if you try a melon that was very nice 25 years ago, I'm pretty sure that most of you won't like it today. So we're trying to adjust to the modern way of consumption. But I agree with you. Taste is super important in a product like melon, because taste is the driver to buy it again. For the North Europeans, we see a product, then we buy it, but the only confirmation to buy it again is the flavor. So flavor is a very critical part to buy a melon. Eh? It's completely different, for example, with a cucumber. You know what it tastes like. It's always roughly the same. But the melon is really critical.
And there was also a question about the hybridization of seeds and how that impacts the flavor. Is that a relationship there? If you hybridize seeds, or they have no relationship between flavor?
To be honest, I would not exactly know, but thinking out loud, what we see, what the process of hybridization does is creating more homogeneity. Yeah. So you get much more homogeneous lots that people will market, growers will market. So I think it has a positive contribution to the overall quality standard of a fruit. You can see that there are still in watermelon, there are still some what we call open pollinated varieties in the market. Right. And a certain percentage will have a brilliant taste, are really good. But another part has really a lousy taste. So they are not so stable as an hybrid. So I think it has a positive impact, hybridization.
Interesting. And then lastly, the lack of nutrients by today's vegetables compared to, like, let's say 30, 40 years ago. I seem to have a sort of a review on the science there is that we have depleted our soils to a degree that overall our vegetables and fruits are a lot less nutrients dense than they used to be. Yeah? How does Rijk Zwaan deal with that? Do you have any program to keep that nutrition high, or what is that?
Yeah, for sure we monitor. We monitor what is happening to the development of crops. And but on the other hand, sometimes it's also difficult to say this tomato has even more vitamins than the other one, because then you would disqualify the one that's good, but there's one that's slightly better. Huh? So it's also a sensitive topic in retail to see that next to each other, I believe. But for sure, we monitor how the development of nutrition is. Sometimes you find also by natural crossings, you get additional components that bring you extra. So for example, in watermelon, we see that the level of lycopene is increasing by some genetics backgrounds. So then it can be really improved.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Tom, maybe to add here, what's important in the nutritional content, that it is part of several steps, of course. Is one part is the breeding, but it's also the production, the supply chain, how long it is on the shelf.
Exactly.
The whole value chain is responsible for this. If a healthy ingredient is there, available, yes or no.
Yep. Thank you. Very helpful. We need to move on. Please, Julia, kick.
Yeah, I think I will start the next video.
You will do that. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
This is the plan. Let me check if this will work.
Good afternoon and welcome from the Retail Center in Berlin. Today we want to go on a journey of a veggie variety. Veggie varieties are just simple varieties, but I want to show you how complex it can be behind. And I want to share some topics with you. I want to explain how we see the variety cycle or the value cycle around the variety. I'm going to talk with you about the Retail Center and what we are doing here in the direction of consumer research. I want to talk with you about some brands and concepts, the category management setup of Rijk Zwaan, and a little bit about our visions in food services. When you see the cycle here, then you can see the consumer is for us completely in the middle. Directly around are the farmers, are the retailers, the food processors, and of course we as a breeder. But this is not enough for this network to make everything better. Around this are a lot of other players from the society, from the science, from a lot of governmental organizations, control organizations, social impacts, etc. A lot of stakeholders are there, and we try to get all the information out of the cycle to make the best varieties and the best products for our consumers. Now I would like to talk with you a little bit about our retail center here and what we are doing here, especially in terms of consumer research. That's my team here in Berlin, and you see there is a small video, but you can also go deeper inside what we are doing here. This is our center. You can see the center as a kind of test shop, and we are really in a shopping center, and direct behind this wall is a real supermarket. So we are doing that really close to natural conditions. Consumer research, we use a lot of tools to make that happen. And one of the tools is we are using sensory research. So then we have a lot of tests here, really blind tests that we can get flavor, that we can get different tastes, different expectations of taste, really good out of them. All what we are doing here, that's maybe good to start with them, is make better products. And you see around me a lot of our Reichsbahn products, and we try to make them better. Test shopping, and that we are doing exactly here. Then in this moment, then we have the retail center in a full stage. Here we have now organized it like a studio, but normally it's much bigger. And then we have here a real shopping atmosphere. And then the people are getting a budget, they're getting a basket, and they're getting a topic, like buy something healthy for your family on the weekend. And then they start to go shopping, and then we having our strongest tool. That's our eye tracking glasses. And I can show you the glasses here a little bit. This is an eye tracking glass, and here with these glasses we can see what you can see when you are a test candidate here. And we have a lot of technology. We monitor them, that your eyes are getting calibrated. We can see what you see on the computer here, and we can see how long you are looking to what. We can see if you are looking first to a price and first to or first to the products. We can also match all the participant together to a kind of heat map that we can see from a shelf. This is the most interesting product with the most attention, or this is not really seen from our consumers in the tests. And finally, after these glasses, we can see what did you really bought. So you can look in the basket and see which products you really choose in the end. And then, of course, we make some questionnaires in the end of the consumers, and that's our test shopping approach. And that is a very powerful tool to see if a product have chances in a shop. So we can simulate different price levels. We can simulate here in Berlin different nationalities. We can also simulate here in the retail center different format styles, like a discounter, like a supermarket, and a convenience shop. And we are working together in that with Toby, and that is an eye tracking company, the producer of the glasses. And here you can see a little bit how it's work in praxis. And this is, an interesting model, and we really like to have this kind of possibility to make the research. Another tool what we are using is so-called in-depth interviews, where we are one-to-one discussing with consumers about product according a very strict protocol. And we do that as well in groups, and then moderated by external non-Reichsbahn people discussing about a product, a problem around then, how to use, how to feel, everything around the product in discussion groups. Consumer research we do also on the streets around here, in the shops, outside of the shops, etc. But there we are making very, very tough and short questions. Then we have 2-3 products, and then we ask him what do you like more, or what is the best taste for you, etc. And then we are very concrete in this kind of with this kind of research. Shelf design, yeah, we are working also in presentation rules and shelf design rules, and we also have other cameras around here where we, during the shopping test, can see how the people are working through the shops, how fast they are finding something, what they are doing, and then we give recommendation in how you make the position of the products, but also on the shelves, but as well how you position your assortment inside one subcategory like tomatoes. Shelf life tests we are doing here as well. We know shelf life are important to have a good quality, but also to prevent waste. We can do that here under different temperature and different shelf conditions. And yeah, we try to give our partners a good as possible recommendation that we have the right temperature, the right position in the shelf, and also how you can calculate your waste and your shelf life. Love My Salads events. It's a very important initiative of Reichswahn to combine salad lovers around the world with chefs, with farmers, with us, to create a kind of spirit of fruit and vegetables. And also here in the center, we are organizing this kind of events. What we are doing as well is really train the retail staff. And we know there is not a real profession, at least in our country here in Germany. So that means that we give a service to the retail organizations to train the staff in know-how in fruit and vegetable. How you have to treat it, how you have to store it, what is inside, how it was produced, etc., etc. And therefore, we founded das Frische Institute, a Fresh Institute, to make together with other companies giving this service to the German retail. And category growth, that is something I come later to this topic in our presentation. Let's talk about brands and concept. It's always surprising myself how many brands we are executing in Reichswahn, but we are working globally and we are working in more than 25 crops, and that is the outcome. It is mainly in our most important crops like tomato, cucumbers, peppers, lettuce, melons, but also in cabbage and in other crops and beans, we are using brands. We have two types of brands, and one type is more or less related to better consumer traits. It's a better taste, it's a new taste, it's a new color, it's a new product type, a new shape, everything which is related, or a new usage which is related to the consumer. And other brands, like for example here on Defense, are more related to very special traits for the farmer. To grow it easier, to grow it more secure, to grow it faster, to grow it more uniform. These are the two different brand types we are using, more producer-orientated or more consumer-orientated. I want to introduce not all of them, but maybe some examples like Sweet Palermo. We created this brand, I think 10 years ago, to separate the high-quality Italian Dulce type from a more low-quality Capia type on the market. And on the market, it was only seen as an pointed pepper. And here you can see it. The left side is a Capia type, and on the right side you see an Italian Dulce type. And there is really differences in taste, in usage, and so on, and we just want to separate both. The Capia types are more used for grilling and filling, with original from Turkey, and this is more used as fresh sweet product, and that's why we create the brand. And now it's in all retailers in the German-speaking areas. It's present, and now we have the diversification of the product, and it's also different quality. And the brand is quite successful, established in the markets. Another example is our new Redery. It's not a brand, it's a concept. It's a concept of new varieties in the high quality tomato on the wine market with some very exceptional highlights. Very uniform, very red, no cracking, very high bricks, and a very good shelf life. So this is something where in a growing segment, we try to make varieties better. That's why we do it on a variety name concept and not as a new brand, because this product is already existent on the market. Another example is our snack lettuce. Here you see we can do something different with it, with a very special type. It's a crunchy cost type. It's a new breed type of Reichswahn in lettuce. And when you cut the lettuce and take the leaf, you can say they are looking like a spoon. And with these varieties, you can make so many things like you see here on the picture in the middle. You can make wonderful dishes in form of a vegetable spoon snack. And that is something what we really want to brand, because when you see the product here, first moment you don't think it's a very, very special one. But if you cut it, then you see the single leaf, you can see the spoon way of the spoon, and you can use it for multiple purpose, different to normal lettuce. It's a crunchy type. That means it's a crossing between normal Kos and iceberg. Salanova, it's a wonderful product. Salanova is a concept of Reichswahn. It's now nearly 20 years old. And it is branded because it is a lettuce concept for all kinds of lettuce where all the lettuce leaves have the same size. So that means always small sized leaves. And that is a lot of new opportunities to make that. We have less waste. We have less waste in form, and you prepare it, but also less waste in the shelf life. All kind of lettuces have a Salanova synonym. Is it butterhead? Is it oak leaf? Is it lollo? Is it crunchy types? So there are a huge assortment of Reichswahn with leafies, and it's now in some countries between 10 and 20% of the lettuce market is already Salanova. You can see them as a fresh market, but you also can find Salanova types in pre-packed, ready-to-eat boxes from all over the world. MyCubies is another story. MyCubies was created when we put on the market, I think also 7, 8, 9 years ago, a very small snacking cucumber. And let's go in the shelf. I think, Roberto, you can follow me, please. So we have here this MyCubies. And you see, it's a very small snacking cucumber. And this is, to explain to the people here, is something completely new, especially for Middle and North Europeans, to snack cucumbers. It's smaller than slicer cucumbers or other types, which was well known here before. It's really a 30, 40 gram snack. And to show them on the market that is something new, we use that as a branded product. And for the German market, I can say now we have something between 15 and 20% of the complete value of cucumber, not of the kilogram of consumption, but of the value in the retail is already in this segment. And that is a very successful brand introduction. But here is a typical where we have the value not by the consumer in the middle point with our Knox brand. Here is something which is more related to the growing and processing of lettuce. Knox means knockout oxidation, and this is the delayed pinking. And you see on the left side the conventional varieties getting after 1-2 days this browning, and it's oxidation. And we solved this problem in our breeding with Knox to delay that 1 to 2 days. That sounds not much, but for processing of this kind of sensitive products with very short shelf lives, it's amazing, especially in the fresh cut industry. Let's talk a little bit about category management. Category management is something we make a variety, but we make tomato varieties or pepper varieties, and we have to talk about the complete category. And if we talk about category management, Then Reichswahn has specialized himself to 5-6 products where we are really have big assortments and want to be really good inside the assortments. It's mainly tomato, but also lettuce, pepper, cucumbers, the melons, and also it's not displayed here for the fresh cut salads. What we are doing, we are looking deep inside the assortments. And inside the assortment means inside a tomato category, which is necessary to have a good tomato category, depending what kind of retailer you are, how many SKUs you have, do you have the right balance between drivers, trends, etc. You have enough organic, you have enough local for local, you have enough snacking, you have all kind of drivers must be represented. So this is how we design together with retailers and with our know-how about the products and the consumer research, the shelves and the products in the shelf. And to start with that, we was always looking a little bit what is something special for our category. And if you look really to the strategical importance, ultra fresh and fresh fruit and vegetable is the most important retail category, which is so important, even more than A-brands and private label. And that's why also the retailer are listening to us very careful. And we also learned a lot of that in the cooperation with retailers, how to improve this category. And also that's important. That is for the retailer important, for us as a product developer as well. Mature markets, coming all in the beginning, in the early stage, was a growing of the middle market. Retailers starting in the middle positioning. We had our first hero products was middle product. Middle means good combination of cost efficiency and usage. Good price value balance. Middle products are never in the extremes, never extremely cheap or never extremely luxury only. They are in the middle. But what happened with these markets over the year, you see there is a new development, and the middle markets are not growing anymore in mature markets. It is going to real hard discounting on the left side, and it's going more and more to a wish of unique features, and we see that in our world. And product value and unique features, that's also for our product development important. So now we need more varieties which are fitting with the left side and the right side. Our compromise varieties in the middle are not working so good anymore. So that means this trend have also influence to us as a product developer. And also in the retail landscape, you can see that. You have on the left side the hard discounters, the Aldis, the Lidls. In the middle, you have the typical supermarkets in the different countries. Here is Germany or France and the UK. And on the right side, you see typical value supermarkets, which are also really increasing at the moment. And this kind of things we are discussing as well in our category management setup. All the 3 types of retailer needs different products, and we discuss that. And when you look now to the assortment structure inside these retailers, you see that you have in the traditional one, the hard discounting, very strong basis on cheap products, and a good one of relatively good products on the top. If you go in the average, then you see you have not so much cheap products, you have not so much high-level products, but you have enormously amount of middle products. And the left side, that is the discount structure, and the right side, that is the supermarket structure. And we try to combine that for a relevant story to make a modern product profile out of it. So we cannot change that too radical to the left side, but we can also not forget the history, but we try to make on the right side and good new assortment structure inside. And when we are ready, then we come out with a product proposal. Here is a case of tomatoes where we organized the products itself, and also put them in a presentation structure. And that was a teamwork of our team together with a retail team. And then it looks later on, it looks like this in a supermarket. And this is the outcome of our category projects, that we have a new designed assortment, including a new designed shelf design. And in this case, it was with the same products without any adding of new products, a 5 to 6% extra turnover with on the same in the same product, and 5 to 6% extra turnover with the same cost on the same shelf in retail business is enormously. Last but not least, let's talk about food service. Of course, consumers are in the middle from us. Actually, we are related to the retailers. That's the most important fruit and vegetable supply chain for us. But still, we have also food service, and food service becomes more and more popular. And we have also products which are where the focus is to make the processing part. You remember on the salad what I showed you in the beginning with the spoon, the snack lettuce. But we also can use this lettuce type to create a vegetable wrap. And this wrap you see here on the picture is now really trendy, and that is one of the complete new products that we developed together with industry partners to make a healthy vegetable snack. But there are a lot of others in our catalog. We created a food service inspirational catalog for chefs, for all players, for the food industry to make new things. For example, here is a cucumber example with really small cavities, less seeds inside, that you can better make a processing of the slices and so on. But there are hundreds of other things. You see on the left side the agenda. And if you are interested, feel free, we can provide you with this kind of gastronomy and food service ideas as well. Last but not least, we're also working with smaller crops in new ideas. Here you see a very delicious red beet, and also a complete new concept of making rocket more interesting. The rocket on the right side looks like a spinach, but it tastes like a very spicy rocket. And this is now the end of my presentation. I would like to say thank you. And yeah, I'm open for your questions, for your discussions. Thank you very much from Berlin. Goodbye.
Thank you, Jörg. Thank you so much. We're running a little bit late, so we should dive right into the first question, which has been sitting there from Pauline. Do you also test products in cooperation with actual supermarket chains, or that you're all independent work by Reich Swan?
We are testing also in cooperation with retailers, yes.
You will do that, okay.
Yeah.
And that is more common, or is that a new trend, or is that, what is the ratio?
Mainly we do it with our own product development.
Yeah.
Sometimes together with production partners or traders, and sometimes when we get a request from retailer, is it possible to have a new SKU in this shelf, in this segment?
Okay.
And use a lot of our resource, which we made with our product development, to advise the retailer.
Yeah, that's primarily the tool, huh? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I think Mary and Nicola had questions, and then afterwards we will need to go to the next video.
Thank you.
Yes, so I had a question. So regarding different or new varieties, these new brands, have you guys looked into ways you can educate consumers in the store regarding the quality and the uses of these products without adding packaging? Because I know plastic packaging is kind of a big problem.
Yeah, we have also here consumer research related to packaging. That is an own part of our research. What we are not doing so often, but we do that, is also direct promoting industry markets, new variety, new brands, and new concepts. But for a couple of markets, like in Germany with 65,000 supermarkets, it's for us as a company not possible when we introduce something in Aldi to have in-store promotion of 4,000 shops, that's a little bit too big for us.
Okay, thank you.
And Nicola?
I'll go quick. Yes, one question. Thank you for the interesting new models. I definitely want one of these wraps. I was wondering, because we work with networks of chefs, and there's an importance of a chef's voice nowadays as well in terms of driving consumer behavior and choices. And so I wonder if in your R&D or in your like development teams, or what's the role of chefs? And sorry if I missed it, but I didn't catch that. So that'd be interesting to know, or if it doesn't have a role.
We are in cooperation with chefs as well in different ways. Sometimes in product development. That means that they get prototypes from us and try to make new dishes, new meals, etc. The second layer where we work together is our consumer platform, our Love My Salad. There we are combining chefs, salad lovers, and growers, and making also new recipes with chef and sessions. And also we do work with, let's say, professional chefs with the gastronomy industry. For example, even with McDonald's or Burger King, or this kind of gastronomy, system gastronomy. And there we are working quite close with these chefs.
Thank you. Any more questions? I think we're pretty much it. I just have a quick remark also. I mean, Right Swan is also a company who pays quite close attention to food waste in the supply chain. I would imagine, and also the entire challenge of climate change to the farmers is something that you are, intensely engaged. I think breeding varieties is also primarily staving off disasters in the field when you have droughts and stuff like that. Am I wrong about that? Is that correct, Jörg?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, very good. I think we go over to Jan now.
Yes, let me start again with the last movie. That is shorter, so 10 minutes if I'm correct. One moment.
Somehow it seems frozen, is that correct?
Yeah. Looks, but it should work now, I hope.
Okay, it's coming now.
Yeah. Dear visitors, it's my pleasure and honor to tell you something about the German retail and consumer trends. Here I would like to highlight some of the insights we gathered during a study which we executed last year, September, on the impact of the corona pandemic on retail and consumer trends. But with help of also external...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we cannot see the screen, only hear the voice.
On the retail...
Now, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
It's my pleasure and honor to tell you something about the German retail and consumer trends. Here I would like to highlight some of the insights we gathered during a study which we executed last year, September, on the impact of the corona pandemic on retail and consumer trends. This study we executed ourselves, but with help of also external agencies to find new ways, especially on the retail and consumer trends. And I would like to highlight both aspects on retail and consumers. The first part is on retail, and as we all are aware that that online order and new players are starting also in the German market. Here on the left side, you see a new example from a Dutch market. Picnic is entering the west part of Germany, and traditional players like Rewe and Edeka are also increasing their capabilities to reach out to the audience in the German market. So this is an example of Rewe, but also Edeka is actively in the online business. So that's the first trend we see in retail, that how they are responding to the corona situation. The second one is more related to technology. And here 2 examples how the 2 discounters, Lidl and Aldi, are responding on the supply chain and fulfillment. And to increase the capabilities, they are cooperating with different partners. The Lidl, this is the example of Spain, where they are working together with Lola Market, and Aldi in the US is, for instance, cooperating with Instacart to complete their fulfillment. And on the right-hand side, we see here 2 examples in technology for Lidl and Aldi on the way that Lidl has across Poland. They have introduced a new app to offer a frictionless mobile scanning. And here you can see the Aldi UK, where you have now self-scanning, and to increase the transition to a more frictionless retail experience. Even more so, if you look at the Aldi cooperation in Germany with Snoopstar, this is an app where you can scan your QR code on the weekly magazine they are publishing, and you can just scan the QR code and you get a lot of new recipes and ideas how you can use this typical ingredient for a new meal. So these are some examples also in Germany how retailers are responding to the corona pandemic. So more frictionless shopping experience. Then we come to the more consumer trends, and this is a study executed by the Rabobank, and they have made a difference between the pre- and post-corona trends. In pre-corona, the major consumer trends were in-home convenience, food safety, changing demographics, a more fresh and healthy experience, new channels. And they highlighted some of the trends which will also continue after post-corona, like the home cooking and local for local. And I would like to share with you the highlights of that report. The first one is new channel. And of course, what I already mentioned, the online delivery is one part, but the one that I like to highlight here is new channel, is the home delivery of recipe boxes. And this is a trend initially made by the company HelloFresh. They started with this development, but also other recipe boxes delivered to your home is really increasing. And this is an example of the Bauerntüte, where they try to combine even more trends, that also a local production and a organic production. So these are new ways to reach out to to consumers. So this is one consumer trend, new channels. The second trend is organic, and especially for the German market, where they have last year an increase of 20%, which gives now the total of 15 billion euro turnover. And the Bundeslandwirtschaft Minister, Julia Klöckner, says really there is a different value chain proposition for organic. And now already 10% of organic, of the general production is already organic. And you see a new partnership arising. This is an example of Lidl and Bioland. Also the retail is partnering up with production companies to increase the total potential of organic in their retail outlets. Trend number 3 is based on what we call fresh and healthy. And there are two aspects here. Is that luckily we are in a good market atmosphere, that we are selling fruit and vegetables. So there is an increasing trend to buy more fruit and vegetables via retail. So there's an uptake of almost 18%, 18 to 20% of more fruit and vegetables are being sold via retail outlets. So there is definitely an awareness of consumers of changing their consumption habits to more fresh products. And this is also based on healthy ingredients. So we see that the health components are more and more important. Also, hey, this is an example where there's more fibers or more vitamin C content. These are aspects which is also important for consumers to change their consumption habits. So this is trend number 3. Trend number 4 is local for local. And this is especially applicable for the German market. And in fact, there are 2 levels of local for local. First one is that there is more and more production of fruit and vegetables in Germany. So more greenhouses are being built to supply the local market. These are some examples. In Rewe Regional, they're really looking for the premium products for local production in the German market. And the second part of local for local is that they would like to buy it more regionally, so more close by to the neighborhoods. And I think Edeka is also doing a very nice example here. Unsere Heimat, that's the brand of the Edeka store in Germany, and they won the retail award, the Fruit Logistica Retail Award. They won last year because because of this positioning on a more local for local consumption. Then we come to trend number 5, and this is home cooking. This is logical. If we are more at home, so we cannot eat out. But we see also there's a need for more inspiration to inspire consumers of what they can do also with fruit and vegetables. And there's really a demand for this, for explaining what you can do with your products. And Rexwan is reaching out also for this via, amongst others, our Love My Salad channel. But we also try to innovate in new ways of home consumption. And here are some examples. We have a snack salad, snack lettuce, where we can use for tapas, for instance. We have more snacking products, which we introduced with our Snips line. We also are developing varieties for soups and sauces. The internal red tomato plumula, which is very nice dark red color of the inside part of the tomato. So we're also looking for opportunities to really capture this idea of home cooking. And we did last year a campaign on eggplant and aubergine, where we are stimulating consumption of aubergines. And also retailers are responding on this for home cooking. So the Edeka, for instance, they introduced the Kochbox, ready to buy meal box. And this was initially developed by HelloFresh at door delivery, but you can also buy now at the traditional retailers in Germany a whole meal box. So you only need to buy your proteins, and then you in fact you have your meal ready for cooking. So this is an overview of the German retail trends, both on retail side as well as on consumption. If you have any further questions, I'm available to answer these. Thank you for your attention.
Beautiful, Jan. Thank you so much. We get a really great picture now of Rite Swan, where we're having 6 more minutes. Are there any questions from the audience? If not, then I have one for you. And this is now really a centric presentation specifically for the European market. Is it comparative that Rite Swan does this for other markets as well?
Yeah,
okay,
that's a good question. we did the study in two levels. We initially started indeed to study the impact of Corona in the European market that we finished just around the summertime last year. But we also continue to test if the trends which we found out in Europe are applicable in the rest part of the world. And actually, the ones that I shared with you are quite common, also applicable in various parts of the world.
So similar, huh?
They are similar. Of course, there are differences per country. We are online. We are, for instance, in China is much more active in the USA. So there are definitely differences. But we also studied what the impact is in terms of the supply chain. So on grower level. And there, for instance, I would like to highlight here is that labor availability, labor quality, payment of labor. I think that is a big issue for our customers, for growers, and there is definitely a request for more mechanization, so also for more robotization, use of technology in production. It's good to also mention this in this group that we see the need for changing the way of labor, how labor is being used in agriculture or on horticulture specifically, is really a key issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There is Nicole who was raising her hand, and then Joy. Is that correct? Or Nicola? Sorry.
Well, actually, Thomas, you asked the exact question that I was going to ask: how comparable those trends are across the globe. So I'll pass to Joy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, what is the role or how has the government been helping with that in the terms of, I don't know, transportation of the seeds, but also registration of the new varieties that you create? What has been their role so far?
Yeah, no, they are key. Before you can sell any variety anywhere in a country, you need local registration. So you need to apply for breeders' rights in the specific countries. And in Europe, it's organized on European level. But if, for instance, we would like to sell in Turkey or in Russia or in Latin America, we need registration of that varieties in the local market. So therefore, we need local legislation and local contact to the government to apply for this rights. And then, of course, you have the import permits and the organization to get the seeds being imported. And then there are also a lot of local authorities are involved to get the seeds in time, because for instance, in China, they want to see the seed lots and want to test it if there are any diseases are in. So we also, in that process for importing the seeds, we also have very regular contact with the local authorities. Yeah.
Thank you.
Svetlana.
Hi guys, thank you so much for sharing all the info, first of all. What caught my eye was the trends that you discussed and the ways to reach consumers. And one of the things that was mentioned was HelloFresh. I've noticed there was a lot of social media presence of things like HelloFresh and similar other companies that do that. I was just curious, what's your perspective on that? Like, will it have a longevity? I know there is like a big boom right now, I guess, and a lot of interest from the consumers, but do you think it's really going to last? What's your kind of idea on that?
Yeah, again, a good question. I think since Corona is lasting so long, consumption habits are changing. I think especially the home delivery, so online ordering, will definitely will be long lasting. For the meal boxes, I'm not so sure. I think the retail solution will definitely stay. Like the example I gave for the Kochbox for Edeka, we have in Holland already, in Albert Heijn, that total category of meal boxes is already 30 million euro turnover. So that is definitely going to stay. And of course, it's a matter of convenience, and there will also always be part of the cake for companies like HelloFresh, but it will not disrupt the total value chain. So I think it will stay, but not maybe it will saturate. And there are more players, so even there, you have Marley Spoon, and there are more people who are interfering in this market.
Maybe one addition. We know from the HelloFresh, the Marley Spoons, they doubled during Corona to turnover in the European market. But the experts will say they're going in the after Corona, they will take 50% of this profit to a higher level than after Corona. So the 100% will be not suitable when the restaurants are open again, but they will still have a 50% higher level than before Corona.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
There was another hand I saw. Julia, do you know who that was? Oh, there's Anne.
Hi, thank you. I try to think of also the possibility to work together with local businesses, local farmers. How do you see this stakeholder relationship evolving in the future?
We work already very intensively. The one who ordering and buying our seeds are local farmers. So we work on, depending on the country, depending on the area. Of course, we have professional big scale farmers, but we also work with small enterprises in the Western markets, or the more modernized greenhouse cultivation. There are the picture that Tom showed in the beginning. The average size is already of 5 hectares. But we also are active in Africa, where we are working with very many small farm holders. So yes, we also have a responsibility there to build up that knowledge of growing vegetables. So there is definitely also, in terms of extension of or training of farmers in more developing countries, we are active in that social environment as well.
Maybe wants to add what we saw, Jan said, we get more and more specialization in the professional farmers, that's true. But also forced for the local trend, we see in countries like Switzerland, Austria, South Germany, also a renaissance, a comeback of the mid-sized companies with a lot of different products. And we have customers in Switzerland, they have 10 hectares a greenhouse, 200-300 hectares open field, and they're executing 50 different use. So then are they in a 30-kilometer cycle around the shop. So this trend, local for local, gives a renaissance for mid-sized, flexible, and multi-product growers.
Interesting. Okay, we're running 3 minutes over. Julia, you tell us when we need to cut off. Is there any more questions?
I think we have one more, and then afterwards we would need to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll make it as quick as possible. How can test shopping and consumer research help improve dietary and food consumption practices amongst the youth? For example, university students who are residing in other countries, or people with low disposable income.
I did not get the point. Can you please repeat it?
I'm sorry. How can test shopping and consumer research help improve dietary and food consumption practices among the youth? So like university students or even people with low disposable income.
At the moment, we are here located in Berlin and use the consumer research at the moment, mostly for the West European or Middle European conditions. And consumer research will not help that, but they give us results, what kind of products is for what kind of markets and what kind of meals, for example, or trends, the right positioning. You have to know that 99% of all fresh introduction in retail are failed normally. And mostly because they don't know exactly is that the right product for the consumers in this area or for this? In this way, in quite a lot more. The education part is more based on Love My Salad activities. Maybe you can check the website lovemysalad.com, where we are trying to combine how to use, how to make meals under unbelievable different nationalities. I think it's 14 or 15 languages to the Asian market, to the African market, and different European cuisines as well. So this is the consumer research itself is more product development for us, and the education part is more in the Love My Salad.
I think he also wanted to know if you have also students or people of low income coming into your retail center, and how do you capture that?
We let's say we have panels. So we are working together with agencies, and if you want to make a test, then we give a briefing what kind of portfolio of consumers we need, and then they send us consumers, and
it'd be the whole range.
Yeah.
Yes, we can define that. For example, we can say, okay, today we want to make European research. Can you send us 100 people this week for middle income from with Russian language background? So this is why we pre-select. It depends where we want to make the market research, the panels, and we are not selling here. We have it's just research lab, and we are not selling any products here.
But you also have consumer groups called students. Have you had that also?
Yeah, we are cooperating here a lot of together with the three Berlin universities, with Humboldt, with the Technische University, and also with Bayer University, but more in the sensory research that we are working with students quite often, and also in our street researches. It's only done by students paid from us.
I see. No, but, he wanted to know if you also qualify low-income people as a consumer in the market research.
Not here in this market research, no.
Okay. Good. I think that's all, right? I mean, we could probably continue, but we need to put an end, right, Julia? I really wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's been extremely interesting for myself. Right Swan is a founding member of FarmTech Society, and I still keep learning about that company. So it's really impressive. Thank you so much. And thank you for participants, and come reach out to us, and we can also connect you further if you have any additional questions.
Yes, thank you, Thomas, for organizing. It was a very interesting and diverse session. Thank you, Jan, Vincent, and Jörg. Have a nice evening, morning, afternoon, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.